It's been a busy week in Pattaya, going from stricter measures into a full-on curfew. The following is a chronology of events. Pattaya officials and business leaders keep talking about reopening the city to foreign tourists September 1st, but even they don't know if they're wasting their breath. Jetsudu Honk Lin reports for Pattaya Mail. Mayor Suntaya Kun Plom chaired yet another meeting July 12 with deputy mayors, city council members, and representatives from the Chan Bori Tourism Industry Council, Pattaya Business and Tourism Association, and major tourism businesses. They took turns talking about Pattaya Move On, a strategy to reopen the city September 1st, via a sealed route from Phuket, or perhaps Utapao Rayong Pattaya Airport. But the proposal hasn't even been submitted yet to the government, which has its hands full with skyrocketing numbers of coronavirus cases and deaths, a critical vaccine shortage, and growing public discontent. For Pattaya to reopen, the number of cases would have to drop to fewer than 100 in a month in Pattaya, and 70% of the population would need to be vaccinated. Currently, fewer than 10% are. Governor Pakara Torn Tien Chai said the province had ordered 200,000 BBIBP Corvi Sinopharm vaccine doses developed by the China National Pharmaceutical Group. The order from Chulab Horn Royal Academy was funded by provincial funds and made because the government has supplied Chan Bori with only a small fraction of the doses it needs. The Sinopharm, enough for only 100,000 people, will be earmarked for security officials working checkpoints, teachers, slum residents, seniors, the chronically ill, and people working in factories, tourist businesses, and areas with high COVID-19 transmission rates. Pattaya Business and Tourism Association President, Bunanan Patanasin, said the government has told companies nothing that gives them confidence about the near-term future. What will happen after 2 weeks of the voluntary stay-at-home order, or what will be done to compensate closed businesses? A lone policeman patrols South Pattaya Road in front of what Chaemong calls all-night market. It was déjà vu all over again as Pattaya fell silent under the second nighttime curfew in a year, bringing utter still to an already quiet city. Jetsudu Honk Lin reports for Pattaya Mail. From Beach Road to Third Road, South to North Road, streets emptied after 9 p.m. July 13th, the first official night of the voluntary curfew that, in truth, was hardly voluntary. Police harassed anyone outside before 4 a.m., demanding to know why they weren't at home, hiding from COVID-19, which many people mock the government for thinking it only comes out after dark. Motorcycle taxi driver Anurag got a rush of business after 8 p.m. as people scrambled to get home and avoid hassles, but his overall income is taking another hit. Anurag said he used to make up to 1,000 baht a day in the before times, but now was lucky to earn 300. The voluntary stay-at-home order differs from 2020's hard curfew, which carried stiff fines and even jail time for violators. It shows how little progress Thailand has made against the coronavirus pandemic, with the country basically in the same dire situation as a year ago, even though a solution, COVID-19 vaccines, have been available for 8 months. Pattaya resident Jenjura said she supports the stay-at-home order, but believes it should have been introduced at the same time as a compensatory relief program for those put out of work by the pandemic and the government restrictions. She said there will be no end to the restrictions until enough people are vaccinated, and the government is doing a poor job of obtaining enough vaccines. As the week progressed, Chan Bori relented, imposing a 2-week quarantine on interprovincial arrivals and caging migrant workers. But would it be enough? Boonlua Chatri reports for Pattaya Mail. On July 13th, after stubbornly keeping Pattaya open to all comers, even as other provinces imposed quarantines on tourists, Chan Bori has relented and required visitors to self-isolate for 14 days. Travelers were informed of the new quarantine requirements July 13th, as soldiers, police and volunteers manned 6 checkpoints at provincial borders, including Sukhumvit Road, at the Banglamoon police station. Other checkpoints were set up in 5 districts in Chan Bori, including Muang, Sattahip, Panat Nikhom and Ban Boong districts. Governor Pakara Tawn Tien Chai, flanked by Banglamun District Chief Wutisak Singh Hadecho, and Pattaya Deputy Mayor Banlu Kulvanatjaya, inspected the Sukhumvit Road Soi 2 checkpoint July 13, the first night they became operational from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. The governor acknowledged that the coronavirus situation is worsening in Chonburi, and stricter measures needed to be imposed, including imposing quarantines in Pattaya, which had welcomed anyone from any provinces, deep red, yellow, orange or green, to generate tourism revenue. People are not being taken from checkpoints to quarantine, random checks of passenger cars and trucks only are being done, but sub-district mayors and village headmen are tasked with informing arrivals of the need to self-isolate for 2 weeks and not leave their accommodations. Migrant workers, as usual, are getting it worse. Continuing the incessant scapegoating of factory, construction and market workers, Pakara Tawn said all factory workers are confined to their employer's facility for a month if a case is found there. Migrant workers have made up a tiny share of Chonburi cases, with Thais spreading the disease through market interaction, shopping mall visits, and family get-togethers. But the poorest in society, from Cambodia, Laos and Myanmar, are being caged like animals with little attention paid to their well-being during forced confinement. Pakara Tawn said closed factories will serve as field hospitals, with 2,500 beds now available for those with no, or minor, symptoms. Thailand's Department of Internal Trade, DIT, is urging people not to hoard consumer products during the 14-day lockdown, and warned that hoarding goods is a violation of the Price of Goods and Services Act, and punishable with a maximum 7 years in prison, or a 140,000 baht fine, or both. From National News Thailand. The department has asked all department stores, wholesalers and retailers nationwide to increase their stocks of consumer products to ensure there will be no shortage during the lockdown. The DIT has also urged egg farmer associations in affected provinces to fix farm prices and supply eggs regularly to all markets in the area during the lockdown, and all associations have insisted that there will be a sufficient supply of eggs for consumption. A couple days later, on the 16th, Chonburi began mulling over stricter measures to curb the spread of coronavirus if the current checkpoints, business closures, and stay-at-home requests failed to bring down the number of daily cases. From Pattaya Mail. Governor Pakara Tawn Tien Chai said July 16 that the week had seen a sharp increase, despite new restrictions that came into effect Tuesday, July 13. A day later, on Saturday the 17th, the province reported a then record 659 new COVID-19 cases, with 156 of them found in Banglamun district, which includes Pattaya. Nationally, Thailand for the first time broke the 10,000 mark for cases, with 10,082, and the 100 mark for deaths, with 141. The government said on Friday night that they were considering even stronger restrictions that will be decided upon by the Centre for COVID-19 Situation Administration next week, as the mandatory curfew, business closures, and travel restrictions imposed on 10 deep red zone provinces has failed to reduce caseloads. Among the proposals is the reclassification of Chonburi from a red to deep red zone, which would turn the voluntary stay-at-home, nighttime order into a curfew, enforced with heavy fines and jail time. Governor Pakara Tawn likely will wait until the CCSA decides what it will do, but said he can take unilateral action if Chonburi cases don't decline within 1 or 2 weeks. By this time, it had become clear what would happen next. The government on Sunday designated Chonburi a coronavirus deep red maximum control zone, changing a voluntary stay-at-home order into a hard curfew, with orders for everyone to remain indoors, even during the day. Chonburi was one of 3 provinces that saw the downgrade from red to deep red, with Chachoeng Sao and Ayutthaya joining the list as well. The change, and tighter restrictions, take effect on July 20. Thailand on Monday reported 11,397 new COVID-19 cases, with 101 deaths. 13 of the Pattaya cases were discovered at the Central Festival Pattaya Beach Shopping Mall. A hard curfew has come to Pattaya and Chonburi from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., with anyone found outside in those orders subject to hefty fines and up to 2 years in jail. But the government also directed the public in all the maximum control zones not to go outside unless necessary during non-curfew hours. Non-essential businesses remain closed, but even those still allowed to operate, take-out restaurants, supermarkets and convenience stores among them, must now close from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Interprovincial travel also will be further restricted, with checkpoints set up on the borders of all deep red provinces to stop all outgoing traffic. And if that wasn't enough excitement, Pattaya protesters call Prayut a murderer and demand his resignation. From Pattaya Mail. Unable to rally in person, angry Thais rolled through Pattaya on motorcycles and in cars and trucks to protest the government's inept coronavirus control and vaccination policies. Dubbing themselves Thai Mai Tun, or Impatient Thais, the group on July 17 demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Wonchalerm Khoonsaen, leader of the Red Shirt, United Front of Democracy Against Dictatorship, led the caravan on Beach Road from Soi 6. Wonchalerm attacked the Prayut government's management of the coronavirus epidemic and blasted him for leading the country into physical and economic ruin. The government's failure to vaccinate the public quickly against COVID-19 and control the spread of the virus makes them murderers, he said. Police stationed officers at Terminal 21, along the beach promenade, and on Second Road in South Pattaya, to maintain order and check the car's participants for weapons and groups of more than 5 people. Chonburi Deputy Police Commander, Police Colonel Tanawat Janjira, called on protesters to disperse, citing a reinstated junta-era emergency decree against large gatherings. The call was ignored, and no arrests were made. Protesters said arrests would not stop them, and they continued to read a statement in front of Pattaya City Hall, before breaking pots emblazoned with photos of Prayut, then stepping on the shards. This sign is self-explanatory, while further along, a meatball vendor gives away her food for free. Massage and spa shops, among the most affected businesses in Pattaya, have reached the point of desperation. More masseuses along the protest route also display their impatience with the way things are going. Finally, a motorbike taxi shows how he feels about the government with the Hunger Games salute.